Hi, welcome back to the Political Beat at lfpress.com. Chip and Pat, we cover City Hall for the website and for the London Free Press, and we're back to our normal schedule, Chip, now that you're off the 2-week night shift rotation, which had us...
It had its positive things because we had a crowd here. We used to get standing ovations after each of our performances.
No, I was going to say that it had its negatives because the night editors were in just off camera and they were staring at us and making me terribly uncomfortable.
Were they?
Yes.
And yet we get along with Dale back here.
Yeah, but that's true. But I'm not as much of a...
Dale, can you say hi to the people?
Hi, people.
There. Thank you, Dale.
I'm not as much of a people person as you are, so
I'm a really Chip and Dale. We're tight.
I didn't like the studio audience feel, so
You
I'm
didn't?
glad. No, so I'm glad we're doing
Is
it.
it performance anxiety?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this empty part of the newsroom is really good. So I'm glad we're back to normal now. And then, but we have a great story to talk about today from the front page of the London Free Press, written by one Chip Martin. On
Good kid.
He's okay.
He tries.
He's okay. On Trinity Global, this is the charity that is chaired by the mayor, run by his son,
The president,
tell
Joe Jr.
Tell the good people of London and beyond what's going on.
Well, I discovered this week that we've written about the Trinity Global Foundation that Joe is chair of and the great amounts of money that it is churning over and issuing great amounts of receipts. In 1 year alone, it went from $70 million of charity receipts issued to $152 million, so more than doubling in just 1 year. And it was raising some questions among observers. Apparently it's raised some questions with Canada Revenue Agency now, which I understand from little digging I did yesterday is that on March the 3rd they're going to revoke the charitable status of the charity, and if that's the case, it can't raise money anymore. It can't issue tax receipts,
game over.
And it's probably game over. Yeah.
In the charity world, I mean, if you're issuing $150 million in tax receipts, that would suggest that you're collecting $150 million in donations.
No, it doesn't quite work that way.
Okay.
They are donating courseware is part of what they are doing, and they are donating medicine and pharmaceuticals, that sort of thing. It's the valuation that the charity is putting on it.
So you're getting $150 million in cash or goods or services donated.
But it's the evaluation. It's who is assessing what the value of that is tending to, in the case of these charities that are having their status revoked, the value is seen as too high by the Canada Revenue Agency, and people are they're questioning the numbers basically that are attached to the charity.
So just to sort of do a 101, let's say I'm running a charity, you donate some goods to my charity, some courseware or some whatever to my charity. I overinflate the value of that.
No. I overinflate the value.
No, but it's my charity.
Oh, it's I'm giving you the stuff.
Yes.
It's my charity. I'm giving you goods.
Okay.
And I'm giving you $10 worth of goods, but I'm saying I have proof that they're worth $100. So I say it's $100 I'm giving away.
And the benefit to you is?
Therefore, I give tax receipts for the larger value for people that want to avoid paying income tax.
I'm still lost a little bit. I'm lost not in this story, but I'm lost in the larger picture of how a charity that's maybe operating on the edge of where it should be.
What I give you may be worth something to you in terms of dollars,
like
or
$50.
furthering the cause of what you're doing. I'm putting a dollar value on what I'm giving to you, and I'm telling the tax man that's the value of the donations that I am making.
I see.
Right?
I see.
I'm bringing in donations from members of the public, and I'm giving a larger amount away than I'm actually receiving from the public. That's how it's working. And then I'm giving these people receipts worth more than they gave to me because I can afford to do that on the paper trail.
So now let's go back to the start of that chain. The person that made the original donation and is getting back a charitable receipt that says a dollar figure higher than they actually gave.
Yes.
Are they willfully blind in that instance?
They are looking for a significant return. A couple of years ago, an outfit called Simple Financial was saying for as little as $500 you can get a tax receipt for $27,000. So the person...
Surely they weren't advertising that.
They were on Kijiji.
Oh, on Kijiji, okay.
Okay, so people would put money in, I can get a lot more back than I'm putting in. That's the incentive for them, means I have to pay less income tax.
But who would ever think that that was legit? What person would ever think, I donate $500 to you, you give me back a receipt that says I gave you $25,000? How could any person possibly think that that was legit?
Well, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Is it illegal?
Well, it's being challenged. The Canada Revenue Agency has refused to honor a number of charitable receipts that were issued by charities, including Global Learning Gifting Initiative, which was a partner of Trinity Global, and they're saying that's not worth it. We're suspicious about the value that was placed on the goods that were moving throughout this thing. Therefore, you are not going to get your charitable donation receipt honored. Therefore, you're going to have to pay back the revenue man.
Okay, well, let's go back. Let's talk about Trinity Global and the mayor's role therein, and he is the mayor. How that, I mean, that is an extra political endeavor of his. It is not related to his office, but he is in office, and we've discussed this before. When are you not Mayor Joe Fontana? I think you always are. I asked him that question today, and here's what he had to say.
As mayor, I have certain obligations and certain duties, and I discharge them very, very seriously. What I do in my other life, whether or not it's I help people through a foundation or whether or not I help people in other ways, is Joe Fontana the person. And so I can separate and I would hope that people understand and would accept the fact is that as mayor, I do certain things as mayor, and they may like it, may not like it, but the fact is that what I do in other ways to help my community, and I have done it for tons of years. You know, for over 30 years, I have supported our community through not-for-profits and so on, because that's what I believe I'm all about.
So he clearly thinks that that there should be a distinction between, you know, there's some questions over here with what you're doing, but the $1 billion budget you're helming over here in the mayor's office, those same questions shouldn't affect this. I find that.
And don't forget the criminal charges relating to use of funds with respect to the Marconi Club.
Right.
What's the common thread between all those three things? Two things. Number one, Joe Fontana. Number two, money. That's the concern.
And I think the concern takes to the third thing, which is the $1 billion city budget. Again, money. That's Joe Fontana.
Exactly.
And there's a shaken public faith in the mayor's office. I think his point today was there shouldn't be, because this has nothing to do with the mayor's office. That sounds like a bit of wishful thinking.
That's his take, and he's sticking with it.
Okay, the prosperity plan, which is City Council's push to kind of kickstart job creation. They've got 5 projects that they've earmarked for further study. They're looking at something in the order of $60 million. Let's take for
over 10 years.
Over 10 years, yeah. Let's take for granted that any one of these projects would indeed be successful in kickstarting job creation, which I'm not convinced yet, but let's say that they did. The projects were shelved till 2014. Then the business community and many others, including the London Daily Free Press, wondered, well, what are we doing here? This seems like we're sort of taking the pedal off the metal. You covered a committee this week where I think there was the suggestion that they're going to maybe bring them back on stream for this year?
That's right. They're at the urging of Councillor Joe Swan, who's chair of the Investment and Economic Prosperity Committee. The city administration has agreed to come back with some suggestions come the February the 28th about which parts of which programs might be activated this year to in fact get something moving with respect to this prosperity plan, which the same council and committee had deferred to next year in order to try to get to the 0% this time. So we predicted that you couldn't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have 0% and you can't have these projects underway. So council conveniently, as we talked about last week, pushed everything off to 2014. Now some of these things are trickling back because of pressure in the business community and elsewhere that you got to get started on something. We need jobs today.
It just seems like a bit of a scramble and maybe a bad omen for these projects that are supposed to be, in a way, kind of a magic bullet for the city that I guess I would say that it seems like a bit of a scramble. We'll put it till next year. Oh, well, maybe we should identify the money now. Oh, maybe we should bring it back and start it this year. It's unfortunate, and I noticed with great interest that in your story from the committee that the mayor had made mention of cashing in the $70 million note that's owed the city by London Hydro, which sounded familiar, and I thought I might have heard someone talking about that recently, maybe last week.
I seem to recall something like that too.
If you're looking for fast money and you're not and I mean, I would say that this is a council that isn't known necessarily for thinking long term. If you're looking for an immediate solution to a problem that you have, that thing is just begging to be cashed in.
I suppose. I mean, the city is the sole shareholder of London Hydro, and there's quite a valuable asset there. On the other hand, there's how much revenue comes from Hydro every year? It's in the millions of dollars.
Yeah.
4.5 or something.
That note in particular, yeah, it's 4.3 or something. It's 1% on the tax bill.
Yeah, 1% on the tax bill. We've been counting on. So if you sell it off, you might get a large infusion of cash. What do you do with that? And you lose 1% on the tax bill right off the top.
So I guess it was pretty easy to predict that low-hanging fruit would be just kind of sitting there. It's a breaking ball that doesn't break. It just hangs over the plate.
It's there, and it should be pointed out that the province has suggested that these notes should perhaps be cashed in, and they should find other ways to deal with their utilities.
Right, but the note produces about a 1% worth of interest on for the budget every year. So, but again, I don't think this is a council that's known for being long-term thinking, and this is certainly a short-term fix, and it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Do you have a favorite TV show?
Hockey Night in Canada.
Hockey Night in Canada, it's a good show. Did you ever watch Dale TV?
Yes, I did. My eyes have finally healed. I watched several episodes of it, 3 episodes, and it was interesting.
That's another Dale. That's
no,
right.
Different, not this Dale. The other Dale.
Councillor Dale Henderson.
Councillor Dale Henderson.
Yeah.
One of the parts when he was talking about annexation, I really enjoyed when he was talking about how we should have a ring road to go around the city, and how the city should be quietly acquiring land somewhere along the 6th concession north of the city in order to build a ring road. Interesting thinking. We'll see what kind of run it has if it's renewed. And
I think Sweeps Week is coming up.
Sweeps Week. Well, we'll see how that goes.
You know what somebody suggested? That we should run a poll question. By the way, if you punch in daletv.ca, it takes you to Dale Henderson's YouTube channel, where there are several videos of it's just him talking to the camera, sort of like a news anchor, about his views on several issues. Annexation is one.
Now, we're not in a ratings war with Dale TV.
Yeah, that's right,
we want to point that out to the viewers.
But someone suggested that we should run a poll that said, what would you rather watch, Dale TV or The Political Beat? And I think that Dale would probably win.
He's certainly more entertaining than you or I.
Yeah, and he's got a little more production
And he's got a list of ideas. I've never seen Dale listless. He is a man with lists and ideas.
What about this list? Look at that. Back of a cocktail napkin. I made our whole script.
That's a good one, Dale. Not Dale, sorry.
I wrote it. But I think it would be a good. Maybe the question should be, what would you rather not watch, Dale TV or The Political
I don't know.
Beat?
I'd rather stick needles in my eyes, quite frankly. But anyway,
okay.
As Jack Nicholson said once.
And lastly, I'll say that I saw an interesting tweet last week. Lest you or I or anyone ever fear that your great journalism goes, lining bird cages and is out in a recycling bin the next day, a guy named Matt McCallum tweeted, "My pal Becky lent me these last night. Just conflicted as to which to read first. And one was a book on Jack the Ripper, and one was a book on Bucksbaum, A Murderous Affair by one Brian Martin.
Yes.
Which is your nom de plume.
It's my legal name. That's it as well. Yes. It's.
I thought Kunky Man was your name.
But my name does appear on certain books.
What year did you write the Bucksbaum book?
That was in 1986, I believe.
Okay.
Some time ago. What year were you born, Patrick?
I would have been born in 1978. So I was about 8 when that book came out, and I didn't see it at the time, but I've seen it now, and I just thought you might laugh to know that some guy was all jazzed up that he got a copy of
my book. Yeah, it's probably worth about 50 cents, and
does that get you a cup of coffee too?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our work will live forever. on and on and on and on and on. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.